Welcome back to Neuromyth Busters, the series where we unpack common misconceptions about the brain. Have you ever claimed to be really good at doing multiple things all at once? Have you ever put multitasking under strengths on your resume? Here's a little test to see just how strong your multitasking skills are. You will need a sheet of paper and 2 pens or pencils. First, you will draw 4 lines across the sheet like so. When the timer starts, you will write "I am a great multitasker" on the first line, and then you will write numbers 1 to 20 sequentially on the second line. You will have 30 seconds to complete both tasks. Ready, set, go! Were you able to finish both tasks? Now we are going to do it again, but with a twist. When the timer on the screen starts, you will write "I am a great multitasker" on the third line and the numbers 1 to 20 sequentially on the fourth line at the same time. Are you ready? Set, go! Were you able to finish both tasks this time? Were you able to write as precisely and neatly as in the first task? What we commonly refer to as multitasking, or doing multiple things at once, is actually better represented by concepts like dual tasking or task switching, and it is definitely not as effective as you think it is. In 2018, Blazeman and colleagues conducted a study wherein they tested how 6 types of distractions impact the performance of online university students. The 6 types of distractions were folding laundry, playing a video game, engaging in a conversation, texting and social media use, and watching a low or high arousal video. They thought that all types of distractions would result in reduced learning. And that's in fact what they did find. They found that for all types of distractions combined, the mean score on a test after an online lecture was 62%, corresponding to a full 2-letter grade drop from the 87% baseline that they had obtained at the beginning of the study. This finding is particularly interesting and concerning, considering that the last 2 academic years, especially for university students, was spent online. Now you may think, whatever, it's just school, it's still a passing grade. Fair enough. But what if I told you that you could die from multitasking? We already established that performing 2 tasks simultaneously perfectly is actually impossible. Rather, we divide our attention back and forth between the 2 tasks, resulting in less than optimal accuracy and/or response time on one or both tasks. There is one situation in particular where the consequences of decreased accuracy or response time can be fatal: when we're driving. In North America, it's estimated that up to a third of vehicle collisions are caused by distracted driving. A 2020 study by Lyon and colleagues reported that 1 in 4 car fatalities involved a distracted driver. Despite the very real and negative consequences associated with dual tasking or task switching, there is some evidence to suggest that, to an extent, dividing our attention between 2 tasks can be beneficial. In 2010, Swallow and Jiang conducted a study wherein they tasked their participants with a series of 2-task experiments. For example, in experiment 1, participants had to memorize a series of pictures while continually monitoring to detect a distractor. Afterwards, they were administered a memory test wherein they had to pick the exact same image that they had seen earlier. What they found after running all 5 experiments is that when participants paid attention to the targets or the distractors, it actually facilitated or boosted the memorization of the pictures. They coined this phenomenon the attentional boost effect. This effect is reminiscent of other memory and attentional phenomena like perceptual learning and the memory isolation effect. If we take all of the evidence that we've covered so far, I think it's safe to say that task switching or dual tasking may not be very applicable to real life situations. But like the attentional boost effect demonstrated, it can be quite useful in experimental settings. It is especially useful when we are trying to measure or quantify one's attentional skills. Understanding attentional processes and skills is very important to understand other aspects of cognition, emotion regulation, executive functioning, and so on. A prime example of this is some of Dr. Lackner's seminal work. Her research focuses on attentional processes in children and adolescents and provides evidence that individual differences in attentional control predict individual differences in self-regulatory skills, like being able to control our emotions, thoughts, and actions. The takeaway message here is that multitasking, as in doing 2 things simultaneously, doesn't exist, and that dual tasking or task switching require us to switch our attention back and forth between 2 tasks, which often comes at a great performance cost. Finally, our ability to control our attention may be linked to the way that we manage our emotions, our thinking, and our behavior. Thank you for tuning into this episode of Neuromyth Busters. What would you like us to debunk next?